Peace.
Peace.
This is Joshua Miller Law, Mr. PhD. You're just now entering the cipher called Real to Real 360. KYs.
Peace, God.
Bring that beat in, kid.
Indeed.
Peace.
Yeah. What's going on, party people? Welcome to the Real to Real 360 show. Let's get it in. We do the knowledge and wisdom so you can understand. Real to Real 360 shows in full command. We changing the game for how it all was taught. From bondage to freedom to an independent thought. Yo, the show is here to bring about a change for real. To lighten everyone so we all know the deal. 360 degrees is a fact. We created the show to give our love back to our communities so we can know what's going on and give them the support from knowledge to porn. So if you're ready to learn, then it's time to go. Sit back and relax and enjoy your show. Peace. Peace and blessings to Allah's mighty 5% nation of gods and earth, to all the human families of the planet Earth. I bid you a love, peace, and happiness high salute. Peace, everyone. I am DJ KYs, aka Kato, the Black Superhero. Welcome to the Real to Real 360 show. Before we get started, I want to give a special shout out to my brother who's not going to be here tonight. He's been gone all week with double working hard, so I know he's doing what he's got to do, and he's holding it down, doing what he got to do, and we're going to hold it down on our end as always. Good evening, everybody. Listen, most of the time we talk and bring y'all about artists, the music. You know, we bring culture awareness to all. And right now we're going to talk about a subject that's very, very alarming and very live and true. We're talking about domestic violence awareness, as well as breast cancer awareness month. This is here. So we got special parts for you tonight. But I want to bring on a very special guest of ours for tonight for our conversation. And first of all, I want to say thank you to this person before she comes on and gracing us with her presence to share her story and enlightenment. She's a very powerful and dynamic person, speaker, a true friend. I got the opportunity to learn and talk with her and talk and laugh and joke. But tonight, we're here to hear her story. So if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome my special guest, Miss Sheila E. Caldwell Hollins. Let's bring her on. Good evening. Good evening.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Right. Hello, fam.
How you doing?
Blessings, queens and kings. I'm blessed. It's another day. I'm doing great.
Good. All right. Good evening, everyone that's tuned in right now. What I'm asking everybody to do is to like, share, and subscribe to the Real to Real 360 show, and understand that this here episode will be dynamic, impact, and powerful. So I encourage everyone under the sound of my voice to please share. Well, first of all, let's jump right into it. Ms. Collins, would you please give us a brief introduction to let everyone know who you are?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sheila E. Caldwell Hollins. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I'm also an advocate for this great cause. And to give you a little bit about me, I am a survivor of child molestation, rape, sexual assault, unlawful touching, amongst a few other things. As we go through the show, you will learn those things as we talk about them today. I am a mother. I am a Christian woman before anything. I have 4 beautiful grandkids, and I am an outgoing and a very vibrant and spiritual young lady. And I am here to bring awareness and to be the voice of hope to change another young lady's life, and to let them know that there is hope and there is ways out of this domestic situation. And I hope that in the midst of this conversation, as we proceed forward, that you all will be blessed about something that I'm saying as I share my testimony of where I've been in my life.
Yeah. We appreciate that. And like I said, relax, You at home. You ain't
I'm
worried.
nervous.
You're nervous. It's all good though. It's all good. You're amongst million friends right here. I want to start off because when I was reading your bio, the very
Mhm.
thing that stands out the most to me is the very first
Mhm.
paragraph. And I'm going to just say a few words from the lines of the first paragraph. And the thing that
Okay.
stands out the most is where you state you refuse to be a victim, although you have been victimized. People who
Mhm.
you should have trusted to protect, love, honor, and cherish you violated that trust, violated you, and took advantage of you. However, you stand tall with your head held high and have started on a
Yes.
path to help others confront, conquer, and quarrel themselves and to tear themselves away from the bondage of trauma, molestation, and abuse. You are the
That is
voice.
right.
That right there was very impactful for me to just read that alone, other than as well as the rest of it. But those were very
Thank you.
strong statements to state. Um, so give us a little brief about your journey into becoming a domestic violence awareness and an advocate for domestic violence.
Well, from what I have faced in my early years as a child, that no child should ever have to endure going through the events of the trauma that I faced at an early age. At the age of 9, to give you a little bit about that, at the age of 9, living in Los Angeles, California, with my mother, my father and mother had divorced at the time, and we were in Los Angeles, and I have a brother that's 3 years younger than me. And I had a sister that was 2 years old at the time. And she was in a relationship with a guy, and he took it up on himself to um, he was actually going to try to do it to my 2 year old sister. I remember him placing his hand over my mouth in the middle of the night with a knife to my throat, telling me that he would kill me if I even attempted to scream. So to save my, actually, I saved my sister from having to go through what he did to me. I remember him pulling me out of the bed, taking me onto where you would have your laundry room, and he was trying to talk me into doing some ungodly things that no child should be doing to an adult or anyone else if they're not grown to proceed in those sexual acts. Well, nevertheless, he overpowered me, and we went from 9 to 13, well, 9 to 12 years old. He molested me, and that changed me in ways that, in the trauma part, is I wanted to give up on life, really. And I had a praying grandmother that stayed on bending knees, that talked to me and taught me that, you continue to go on in life, and know that this wasn't something. When I decided that this wasn't something that I did to myself, that someone inflicted this pain on me, although it was a lot of trauma as far as not being able to come to the table and just say, hey, mom, this guy's touching me, because it tore my self-esteem down. I was isolated from family, from friends. And so as I got into my early teenage years, about 16 years old, I was raped repeatedly. And I began to really start changing drastically as far as the mental state of mind. I um, I actually attempted to take my life, but I didn't proceed through, as you can see. And it wasn't that I wanted to do that. It was just that I was tired of being manipulated and someone overpowering me and think that they had the right to just do whatever they chose to do with me. And I never really got the chance to be um, in the a teenage sense. I never got a chance to go out and do things like most teenagers would do, because I stayed in the house, and no one, my grandmother would always ask me, why you don't go anywhere? Why you don't want to do anything? But I never could really just say, hey, Granny, this guy has raped me, because when it happened to me, it was a family member and a friend of the family that you look up to, and you think that you grew up with these individuals that you can trust them. So for me, even in the adult sense right now, I have a great amount of distrust for individuals, and it's because of what I went through in the early years of my life. So I just I'm a work in progress, and this no day is easier than the other. But I can tell you that I have God in my life, and that's what keeps me going, and my son and my grandkids, and just a whole lot of support. And I'm just really honored to just be sitting here. And I always say that, this is a sick disease, and it's not about age, creed, or color. It sits everywhere that we walk and stand. And if I can change, like I said, just a mother's daughter, mothers that have daughters, we're losing mothers, babies are still crying. And I'm here to say, hey, no more. We're not tolerating it. We are breaking these chains of domestic violence. And I will not stop until I know that I have did my mission that God gave me the calling to do. And that's just what I'm doing right now, spreading awareness.
Well, definitely, we thank you
Yeah,
for that, and thank you for being around, not uh, to take your life, but instead to utilize your life and the value that you have of your story to enlighten others. Because we want everybody to know, just like you said, this type of violence has no race,
mhm,
creed, or color. It happens
mhm,
in everybody's walks of life. So we want to make sure that we touch and reach everybody to stand up and be encouraged and not to fall short or feel like you become less than who you are or who you should be. And do not stop becoming the potential person that you were born to be because of somebody else's ill begotten behavior. There is help
exactly.
and there is hope out there. There is family out there. There's friends. There's all types of uh, places to go to get that help or seek help as long as
It's
you are
true.
aware that you want to get that help and apply it. So again, thank you for your story. And there's more to you than meets the eye.
Yes, it is.
So let's
There's
get
there's a
into
lot more.
let's get into that.
Well, as I was saying, I actually, my goals were to be a nurse. I love helping people. I grew up wanting to help others. I always was around the elderly because the wisdom and being around my grandmother and her teaching. So I was always around older individuals. I didn't never was around people really of my age because I couldn't get an understanding of them. But I had the knowledge and the teaching of the wisdom from my elders. So I'll give you when I was 13 years old. When I turned 13 years old, I began to start changing in the mental and the physical part. And so I guess at this point, when I sat down and I said to my grandmother, I said, I'm gonna be a nurse to save the world, to help others. And my grandmother said, well, if you can do that, then you can make a whole lot of changes. But then at 13, I still had a lot of trauma that I couldn't even conflict to get over here and start something new in my life because I could say that I wanted to do it, but I was having nightmares. I didn't realize that, how I end up upside of the wall, or I'm in a corner, I'm crying. When I'm in school, I'm not focusing. So my teacher would pull me to the side and she said, you get like you in a circle and you're supposed to hold hands with your classmates. I didn't want to hold hands with boys because I couldn't stand them, if that makes any sense. And nobody never knew why, but I knew why because I had already been violated, and I just didn't want anybody to touch me because it was a violation of I had already been molested. So as I got a little older, like I said, when I turned 16, I was in active in drill team. My family is military. We have traveled abroad this world. No matter where I've been in my life, I did 4 consecutive tours. I stayed in Hawaii for many years, working with the military and working to change. And being as a volunteer working with the police, like victim services at an early age. I had my first job at 13 years old as a healthcare provider. And being 13, don't nobody get jobs with healthcare individuals, but I had my first real job working as a healthcare provider, taking care of the elderly. So I then began to progress in the later years of my life. I got into a relationship at the age of, I was raped at 16, and my son is a victim of rape. And that's another topic for another day, but he is a victim, a product of rape. And I did the best I could to shield him from that, to not to let him know, because I didn't want my son to have the kind of pain inflicted on him, because he didn't deserve that. And I think I did somewhat of a good job as a mother to try to do that. But there is going to come a time now that I do need to sit down and let him know that, this did happen to me, and you are a product of this particular situation. So as these guys, like I say, a family member, I entrusted, we going to the store, like any normal person would get in the car with someone to go to the store. We proceeded to go to the store. And after they got back into the car, the two individuals, being my cousin and his friend, a family friend, they proceeded to stop the vehicle maybe like 5 or 10 minutes on into the ride, got out and said that he needed to use the restroom. Being bullheaded, I said, well, why didn't you use the restroom at the store? Because I need to get back. Well, when I said that, he said, you're not, I don't want to use those words, but you're not going any so-and-so where. And the next thing I saw was a gun up to my head. And they proceeded to gang rape me at this point. So my son is a product of that incident when I turned 17 years old and had my son. Being a single young lady, it was very difficult to raise my son because I started having anger issues very severely. I would see my son and see the guy. Mm-hmm. And it was inflicting pain toward my son because he couldn't understand why I would raise my voice or feel like I do, because I saw this guy through my son. And that was a hard ride for me. And so as time went on, I had to get a whole lot of praying, do a whole lot of praying. And I prayed all day long, but it seemed like it was never enough. And I would say, God, how could you allow me, if you are the God that is my father, how could you allow me to go through all of these things? But in my years now, I know why. When I hear him say, if I brought you to it, I'll bring you through it. Mm-hmm. I started saying that quite a bit. And I started listening to my grandmother's teachings. And she was like, so I didn't get counseling. Counseling was not an option because I come from the old school where you would sweep things under the rug and nobody talked about it. It's hush, hush, be quiet. I lived that life. And I think that did more damage because something should have been done. But being in the relationship with my mother, and there was a strange relationship with my mother because when the guy, her boyfriend, molested me, she took it upon herself when my grandmother told her what this guy did to me, that she needed to sit down and listen to her daughter. She took it upon herself to say, no, that didn't happen. Basically, I'm lying, but I'm your daughter. You're my mother. Your job is to take care of me. You're supposed to listen to me, especially if the shoe had been on the other foot and someone had said that about my child, I probably would be in prison or jail right now. But she didn't do any of that. She took it upon herself to tell my grandmother to hell with both of us pretty much. So my grandmother made a phone call to her sons and it went to another level. But then we got the police that gets involved, and a 9-year-old child should never have to sit down and discuss sexual acts that some perpetrator has committed upon a child. And it was some things that he wanted me to do in the sexual sense with my mouth. Of course, I'm not doing that. So it was a lot of penetrating and fondling me and things like that. And even being where I am now, I still have problems with that in relationships. When I was in a marriage, it was It was a failed marriage because I couldn't get with the program. It's not that I don't have desires, but I just have trauma somewhat at that time because I couldn't open up to my spouse and say, this guy raped me. He did these things to me, because I tried that once before in a relationship, and it went to pure hell. He ended up doing pretty much damn near the same thing to me. So, my mother, we were at the police department, and I remember the female officer saying, we're going to put this guy away for life. We're going to lock him up for whatever time. And we're going to need your mother to sign these documents. And I could see it just as plain as day. I'm standing in her face. She's about face with me. She's telling the officer, I can't sign these documents because I can't put someone away for life, because that's taking someone's life. And I'm saying, I'm a child, and I'm hearing my mother say this. She never one time thought about me. So it was a lot of animosity toward my mother. And you can imagine with a father being in a broken home, not saying my father didn't love me, but I came from where my father and mother was not together. But my father, when he found out, it was never, he didn't believe me. So my father was my hero. And I thank God for him, even though he's passed on now. But my mother didn't tell anybody, in the sense that her father had molested her. We found this out in the latter years, that my grandfather was molesting my mother. And I know that that's kind of far out, that happened to her, but I'm your daughter. Your job is to protect your daughter. And she didn't do that. So I stayed with my grandmother.
Mm-hmm. And I don't
And
want to cut you off, but that's something that back in those days was almost pretty much considered a generational curse, because it was something that was
exactly.
so easily done and swept under the rug and kept in home that it
Mm-hmm.
became a negative norm concept that we just would no one was really willing to address that elephant in the room. We didn't know how to really
Mm-hmm.
understand that and grieve through
Mm-hmm.
it, and it's very important. I really enjoyed what you said right there. But here's what I want to do. I
Thank
want to
you.
take the time right now and go back. There's a statement and a question. And Miss
Okay.
Roberta Santiago, thank you for this right here. I'm going to read this to you. She says, they
Yes.
steal our innocence and our voices. Who do you turn to? Death feels like a better option. Now, I'm going to give you a few minutes to weigh in on that, and then I'm going to go ahead and say what I feel in reference to that if you want to apply to it. Thank you again, Roberta Santiago. And anybody that's on here listening, you can chime in if you have a statement, a question, you can type it in, and we'll get to it as much as we can possible. And also, Daniel Woodson, thank you for saying what you said. He says you are a survivor. All right. So
I no longer claim that victim status. I lived in that victim status for years, and I am not going to be sitting up walling and being a victim of any sort for anyone, because I am not the one that committed these acts. I like I said, I'm nervous because it's different for me. I'm normally out on the platforms marching and walking, chanting and doing all of that. And I work behind the scenes more so than I do when I'm on social media. Normally when I'm on social media, I'm on other platforms with the Voices for All Foundation for Carolyn Thomas and other organizations that I've worked close in hand with. So this is the first wide range of opportunity that I've had, and I'm so honored and grateful. But I don't have any shame of where I've been, because these stories, like what's happened to me, it's happened to a lot, and many of you out there, the fathers that have sons, I say, teach your young men that this is not the road to go, because mothers that have daughters, they need men that are real men, that are out here being nurturing women and taking care of these young ladies so that they don't have to fall short of a hand or blow upside the head. You all are looking at my face. You would never know or think that I've had a size 12 shoe print across my face, many scars that you don't see, but they're inside of me, that I carry every day, and a norm. But I am still a work in progress from where I've been. And to answer, can you reread her question again so I can answer her question,
okay.
please?
She had says, who do you turn to Because sometimes death feels like a better option.
For me, I serve a Father that sits high and looks low. And no matter what I'm going through, I know that He gave me a purpose. And if I take my life or end my life, even though in the norm, that's how I feel in the pain, it is the easiest thing to feel that you want to be off this earth because of what you've been through and what these guys have done to me. But I'm giving them the victory. If I take my life and leave here, they're still going on and doing something to someone else. So I serve this Father that sits in me and keeps me going so that I can put a stop to this for another little girl, a young lady, or an elderly woman at that, do not have to fall at the hands of a blow. So I'm going to be staying here. I may be dead and gone, but my voice will reach many and thousands around this globe.
Wonderful. Now,
if that makes any sense.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to say, Roberta Santiago, once again, thank you. And to all those out there that has been a victim to this, you are not to blame. Just first of all, you were not to blame. Do not look at yourself as the person that caused this. There are some things that we as people can elevate or cause other people in mindset to think about disagreements or whatever. But for someone to choose to take away your right and your innocence, as you say, it is not your fault. That is on the person who is doing the job, doing the dishonor, doing the disservice. So do not look at yourself as a failure. And I've been talk with lots of people. I remember, doing peer counseling as a young man and stuff in my days, talking with people about domestic violence, even within myself, speaking of being abused. And, first thing we always question is, why me? What did I do wrong? We're looking at what it is we're trying to psychologically put in our brain to say, what did I do wrong for this person to do what they did to me? So now we're putting ourselves in the wrong shoe instead of just like, it's easy said than done, but that's what happens. And like I said, now there are avenues of help and resources out there. For one, like my sister Myers, who was the heart coach down there in Texas. She's brilliant, a wonderful speaker. She talks about her life issues, what's going on with sexually abused, family violence, and all stuff like that. So that's another one. There's plenty of people. My home good friend, Coach Illy, she's a dynamic speaker, dynamic person. So there's many people out there that can do their best to help and assist. But again, we have to make sure and let this be known. Nothing can be done for you unless you want it done for yourself first.
That's true.
Sure we got that right, and
that's true.
This is what it's all about. So again, we're going to move on. And if, like I said, I encourage anybody for listening right here to the Real 360, we're talking about domestic violence awareness. If you have a question or comment, please put it in and we're going to get it right up. And I see what she says. By the way, this is Nimson voice. Oh, Meme-san. All right. Okay. I got you. Hey, Meme-san. Got you. Welcome. Thank you so much. So, again, what are some of the programs that you've worked with? You've done some other amazing things that I would have never thought, especially when I was in Ohio. You did a lot of work and helping with search, rescue, cover. Let's talk about that.
Well, Ben, like I said, my husband at the time was in the Navy. We were stationed in San Diego, California. He was aboard the USS Peleliu LHA-5. And during the time, most of you probably do remember the David Westerfield case. It's still all over the social media. That's how I actually got involved on the first round. Brenda and David Van Dam had a daughter named Danielle Van Dam. She was going to the door to sell some Girl Scout cookies. And in the course of her staying over there a little too long, she was gone a little too long. The mother went next door to find out what was going on over there. And so after that incident took place and she came home and put her baby to bed, he broke into the house and took her daughter. I was like looking at the news, and like you see these numbers come across the screen. Oh, they're not going to let me do this. It was in another town or whatever. But I ended up surprisingly found out that they allowed me to get on the team. And I didn't know that they were watching me, but I'm very high strung. Like I said, we didn't have water. And so I was like, okay, these grocery stores, if they want to really help, then I'm going over here and ask the manager, can we get cases of water? Well, it went from getting not one case, but getting thousands of cases, helicopters and, the military troops from the ground of the horses and everything else. And I thought I was in some trouble with the Detective Bill Garcia. And he pulled me into the office and said, hey, I said, I'm going to jail or something. Am I in some kind of trouble? And he was like, no. He said, I just want you to tell me, how did you get all of these things going? So I ended up on that search team. I actually was able to meet the parents, and that was amazing. And I actually worked with the David Westerfield, Samantha Runyon. I was on that. Scott Peterson and Lacey in Modesto, California. I worked on that as well. And I tell you, that was my passion. That was something that I really enjoyed, out there with the drive to find somebody else's child. And then I worked with, the last one was Jaheed Turner. He was a 2-year-old that came up missing in San Diego, California. His mother was in the Navy, and she was approximately maybe 21, 22 at the time. He has never been found to this day. And I worked with the detectives on that case as well as a volunteer, personal experience with that. And Jahi, I hope that one day that you'll be found and turned to your mother, because he will forever be right here for me, because I stayed in the media at all hours of the day, sun up to sundown. And if I could do it all over again, I would be out there right now doing those things. Yeah. So I did that. Yeah.
Absolutely. We got another, we have a question from Mr. Daniel Woodson, and it says, can you speak?
That's my cousin.
All right. So Mr. Woodson said, can you speak to what the research data says? Because it says that most of molestation and sexual assault is perpetuated on women and men by people they know well, or by family and friends, not strangers.
Well, for me, it was a family member, as I stated early on. At the age of 56, just here in the recent past years, I went over to my cousin's house, being a female, and they was playing cards. The cowgirls was on, as I call y'all, cowboys. They were watching the game or proceeding to watch the game. I'm not a football fan of any kind like that, but nevertheless, her significant other was actually, like, we're sitting here now, he was like praying me with his eyes, and I felt so uncomfortable. I knew the signs, and I knew it was going somewhere, and it wasn't where I wanted it to go. So I asked the guy that was actually sitting, his chair was in front of me, like I'm sitting on the couch now. His back was turned to me. So I leaned up and I asked him, I said, hey, Quincy, is that guy staring at me? Kind of move your chair in front of me. And everybody had left because I fell off to sleep. But I never had a reason to go there and feel like I'm going to be unsafe, because, that's my family member. I'm not supposed to feel like that. And so somewhere in the middle of the night, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, somewhere, I'm asleep, like most people would go to sleep. My husband was working, and it was weird because he didn't want me to go over there in the first place, but I was I'm going anyway. I'm just going to go because that's my family. So as the events took place, I'm on the couch, and I'm laying on the couch, and I had like a cover across me, like most people throw a little blanket on them. And I was waiting for my spouse to pick me up. It didn't happen because he took it up on himself to run his hands up in me whilst I was asleep. Okay. And that's not in the norm. We don't do that. But he's got a few scars upside of his head. He did that to me. So yeah, it wasn't strangers that did these things to me. It was persons and parties that I knew very well, that I never in a million years would have thought that they would have violated me. And a couple of them are deceased, and a couple of them are still walking around, living life like peaches and cream. So yeah.
Well, again, thank you for your story, and I'm so glad that you are here as a living witness and testimony of yourself to let everybody know. Um, I wanted to say this too, that going back earlier when you said that your child was a product of the rape situation, and
Yeah.
I am too familiarized with that as well. And I always want to state that, you know, a mother will always do what she has to do to protect her cubs, her babies, you know,
Hmm.
and at some point in time, the child will also have to have or may go through some change in emotion, especially when they see the
Yeah.
abuse or witness changes in the structure of the home that gives them, you know, children are sponges. So they don't know. And then when they see something that looks like it doesn't match up and add up, it affects them. So they become part of the situation.
Yes.
And we have to be able to try to do what's best and right to cope for our children. And then
Hmm.
back in the days, the old days, it was be quiet, don't say anything, just
That's
leave
right.
it alone. So that's what kind of stacked a lot of
Mhm.
problems
For
and
me.
heartache and pains on
Hmm.
not just the victim, but the
Hmm.
child who became a victim by way of the situation that they
Exactly.
didn't have an avenue of approach to talk to or who they can come to and talk to because sometimes the mother was too depressed to say, I don't want to talk about it.
Hmm. That's
So,
true.
so what, in your case with that, as you were stating,
Hmm.
what was your avenue of approach for you to say, okay, you're going to protect them, but yay, so far. But now there's that point in time, like you talked about earlier, said you're
Hmm.
really going to have a sit down now
We're
because
gonna have to sit
here we
down.
are now on national television after so many years. But yet,
Hmm.
there were probably times and things that he would question and things like that. Say, "Mom, I don't understand," and he don't understand. So,
Hmm.
what was it for you, the turning point for you to say, "Okay, here's where I stand, and here's what I'm doing."
I didn't realize that I had inflicted, not intentionally, personally inflict this type of pain on my child. And looking back now to where I am right, sitting right today, I regret that I didn't probably tell him some years ago. But I didn't feel that he was ready because, like I said, he was acting out in anger. He had a lot of anger,
Mm-hmm.
and I could leave and turn my back for a second and turn around, and he didn't put some holes in my walls. I'm like, what happened to my wall? And he was like, I don't know. But he didn't took his fist and knocked a hole in the wall because he's suppressing what he saw me go through when this significant other of mine is putting his hands on me when I didn't think that my child saw all this stuff. Because I always try to put a pillow to my face, or I wouldn't come out the room because I might have a black eye or something. Yes, you all did hear me say I had black eyes. I mean, I've even went to the point where I've had long hair, whether we wear wigs or whatever, but he cut my hair completely off. I mean, just got the scissors and cut my hair off. And that's not in the norm. So this guy had some issues, some serious issues. But my son told me just here last week, he said, I know more than you think I know, Mom. And I'm like, what do you know? He said, you didn't know that everything that you were going through, you inflicted your pain. If I could share some of the text messages, and as a mother, just as a person, I want to omit myself of being a mother. I'm just going to say, as an individual, and you have a person being my son telling me that he knew everything pretty much that I went through and seen everything when I didn't think that he did, but the level of the pain that was placed upon him to cause him to be the way he was. And even in today, I thank God that he's a God fearing man and he's raising his kids. And he's not a man. He could have been a man that was beating on another female, but thank God that he didn't do any of that. But he has had severe anger issues. And he still, at times, sometimes he might snap me up and say, well, Mom, he don't want to hear about if I say, me and your stepdad are going to the movies. He'll say, don't tell me nothing about that, man. I don't want to hear nothing about a dude. And it's because of what he's already seen and went through. And I'll teach him that not everyone is responsible for what somebody else did. And for me being a lot of you made me think I have a son to be 45 years old on the 28th. So being that I'm at this age in my senior years, and I said to Fam earlier, being KY, I said to him earlier, sometimes when you're supposed to be a child, you're supposed to get to that level of being a kid, get to your teenage years, and then get to your young adult years and progress to your adult years. Well, sometimes being in this adult situation in this seat, I still have maybe here and there some kid tendencies at times, and that's not to say that I'm not grown, but I skipped all of that and I had to learn these things to get to where I am right now. So I'm grateful in the process that, when I look back and I see some of the things that, like if I was to put some coffee on, every now and then I have to turn back and say, oh, it's okay, Sheila, you can drink the coffee because the pot might have been in my head or in my back because that has happened to me. Or if I didn't open the door, or you not in full armor of makeup, high heels, and this is the way he wants you to be, I didn't have an option to say, no, I'm not putting that stuff on today. That's not what I want to do or what I want to wear. But if you didn't do it, God forbid. But I was with a master manipulator. He was a pro, and it was so good at it that law enforcement was believing what he was doing. So I got to the level. I started recording them, and of course, it's illegal in some cases to record somebody, and they don't know that you're recording them. But I had to do this in order for them to see that this guy is lying. He's beating on me. But when I took it's really, and even now, like you're supposed to feel freely when you take your clothes off and you have your body, you love on your body, you check your body, make sure everything is okay. Here I am covered up, looking like an old maid or something, not letting anybody see me. I would take my clothes off in the dark. I'm in a marriage and I'm taking my clothes off in the dark because I don't want my husband to see me. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be enjoying the moment, the act of whatever it is at that moment in time, but I never could do that. I never had the opportunity to do that. So right now, where I'm at now, I pray that, he continue to work with me, walk with me and nurture me and guide me in the aspect that I'm asking him to do, so that I will never, ever fall short of his glory and be in these ungodly relationships. But sometimes what gets me the most is the women. And that's no disrespect to my queens at all. When I say that, I mean that when you say we're sitting over here and we have been through all of this hell with men and been beat on, raped, and you guys are sitting over there laughing, there is nothing funny about any of this kind of stuff. It's not. Nobody deserves to sit up there and somebody walk up to them and bust them in the head and I'm having scars and cutting your throats or whatever they do, and force themselves on you. We don't deserve that. And then you asked us, what do we do to deserve this? We don't do a damn thing to deserve this, So I get to the level to let you all know that I am a human being just like you are. I bleed, I hurt. And for me to sit here and to share my life, my personal, private, intimate part of my being as a young lady, as a woman, and I'm sitting here telling you my story. I would challenge anyone in this world about my truth of what happened to me. I don't care if anybody don't believe me because I know these things happen to me and I'm here to change the game and I'm not going to give up on it. So might well get tired of looking at my ugly face. Because I'm coming again.
Where you've gone to speak and how can people reach you if they want to contact you to come and speak on certain topics and situations, especially with that? How can they get in touch with you?
I'm all over social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I have a TikTok, but some of you know that I recently lost my husband. And I want to thank all of you for the love, the condolences, the prayers. I'm still in the journey, but I'm in a better place in the journey. And I'm not going to call any name. And I love you dearly. And I'm sorry that I was a basket case. I fell off the wagon for a brief moment. And I say that in the emotional part. I just really want to thank my TikTok family. And how I met K Wise is I was in a vulnerable state of losing my spouse. And I was not able to really just talk to anyone to share those feelings with. I just was led to the live. And I remember just coming to the live and asking them to pray for me. And I've been there ever since. So I thank my Real to Real 360 family for loving on me, for putting up with me, because I know that you know. Yeah. So thank you. I love you, Miss Kim.
You know,
I love you.
as beautiful. A lot of people, and for me, music has always been my go-to therapy of top choice. If I couldn't sit down and talk to my mother first or somebody that was close, because it was hard for me to really open up a lot. I was a closet type person. When things were going wrong, my mother and father used to argue. As a kid, I would go into the closet because I wasn't used to that, and then to see that as I'm getting older, because I was like, my moms and pops was like everything. I couldn't see any issues or what was going on because they never would show it in front of us. As far as I can see when I see it coming up at times. So then to really start getting to exposed to it became hurtful for me. And because it was always a child stays in a child's place. You don't ask an adult what's going on. You don't ask
True
who, what,
statement.
why. You just stay in your place. So seeing things sometimes gives you another illusion as a child of it's worse than you think when it really isn't. But you
It's
never
so
know
true.
that because you don't have that avenue of outlet to talk to somebody and say, hey,
That's
I'm
true.
going through something. And like I said, sometimes the parents don't see the effects of what's going on with the children. I would act out. I would go out and force myself to get into trouble just so I can get paid attention to. And if at sometimes in my life, if I didn't get a whooping, I felt like I was doing something wrong, you know. But and so the destruction of it became a stepping stone for me to realize that, you know, through all the ups and downs and the violences within families, there's still a light and a beacon to make change, to be a change, you know. And look, there's Kim right there. She said, love you more, girl.
Thank you for putting up with me. I'm much better now. Can't you see? I'm so much better now. And I am,
So again,
yeah.
like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I really want to thank everybody. Like again, we're talking about domestic violence awareness and with our sister Sheila Hollins. Listen, I also want to talk about, since we getting short on the time, but also
Cancer,
what
cancer.
we talked about was breast cancer. So could you give us a little enlightenment on that? Hey, I see my friend over there. I see my friend trying to get into the camera. Look at him. Look at him. Trying to get on the
I
camera. Look at him.
Cancer runs in my family as well, and I walk for cancer. So I wear a double ribbon for domestic violence and cancer as well. I'm out here advocating on the platforms for cancer. I have two uncles right now that are battling cancer, prostate and brain cancer. You wouldn't know that my uncle with the brain cancer, that he looks so amazing. So God, I thank God for he's in remission right now. And I've lost several uncles and cousins from this cancer situation. I just recently lost a cousin in March of this past year. So to all of you that are going through cancer, much love to you. Keep on riding because you can defeat this and keep on pushing and know that someone's out here loving on you. And I'm walking out here for those of you that can't walk. So ladies, if you're on here, I'd like for you to send up those purple hearts and those pink hearts to represent domestic violence and cancer awareness so that we can change the game out here.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. to all my surviving sisters out there that are breast cancer survivors, I salute you to the highest and give my heart, because y'all are strong and you're still staying strong and doing what you're doing to continue to push. You know what I mean? You know why? Because you deserve the best, because you are the
Let
best.
them let
So
them try that now. And we going to jail.
yes. So once again, Sheila, I want to thank you for, like I said, we talked many times off the
Yeah,
screen and stuff, and every now and then we would call a check on you, because I know you was going through a period of change, especially your son when he lost at his
yeah.
tragic moment.
My
So,
grandkids, yeah. I've
yeah.
lost
Carry through
two
my message.
grandkids.
Um, it's never easy. Everybody would say, "Oh,
It's
it's
not.
easy." No, it's never easy. It
It's
depends
not.
upon the situation and the time and the time of mind state a person is in. So
That's true.
I encourage each and everyone that's under the sound of my voice here on the Real 362, if you are a victim, or even if you know someone who's coming to you, speaking to you about being a victim of domestic violence, help them, guide them, give them encouragement, give them the strength to move, because a lot of people want to go the easy route and take their lives because they feel less value of who they truly are. And if
Mhm.
you can be that voice, if you can be that arm, if you can be that ear, if you can be that pillar,
That's right.
be all you can be. Don't just take it as an army slogan. That is a life slogan. Be all you can be for somebody else, because when you was growing up, you needed somebody to help you the same way, regardless of the situation. We all need a helping hand somewhere. All right.
The key
So
word is listening. We just need someone to listen to us when you want us. You never know where someone is in life, and we get caught up in life, and we just don't want to be bothered. But that one thing, that one instance of that person's life, you could save that person just by listening to what they're saying. We say it's a lot of drama, but that drama can save somebody's life. But if you would do me a favor, if it's okay, can you
what's
play Break Every Chain by Tasha Cobbs before this live ends?
what we're gonna see, because right now I'm gonna make sure,
Oh, you
because
have another. Yeah, okay.
no, you good. But the problem is see, certain powers that be will always want to block you and make sure that you don't have
Oh,
the right
okay.
and everything to
Yeah.
play certain songs. So I just
Oh,
want
that's right. That's
let
right.
that be known. But um, if I can, I shall and everything. But if not, then of course we'll know. But if what you said, break every chain, is right. And I always want people to just encourage themselves to, you know, keep moving on, you know, and be a voice in your community. Be a voice in your community. Fight for what is right. Fight for what you know is truth, not just facts, because facts can be altered. But when the truth is known,
That's true.
when the truth is made known and you stand on the truth, everything else can just fall by the wayside, and it's all right. It's all right. So you see if I can find that. But in the meantime, once again, let them know, you know, if you got, like you said, you're on all social media platforms, just let them know again how they can reach you.
I'm working to come on TikTok. I'm in a better mind space now to start my platform on TikTok. But I mainly, like I say, I'm working behind the scene. I burn the oil all night because I have young ladies that are not wanting to come on screen or be seen. They texting me via emailing and asking and sharing their stories and their testimonies and asking me would I be the voice. And then you find out a lot of things, that there's a lot of women and young ladies out here that want to speak, but they're afraid to speak because of the way people looking at them, or someone is going to say in retrospect of what they're going through. But I'm here to tell you that hope, HOPE, we're here. I'm here. So if you can't say what you want to say out loud in the media, you can feel free to burn the arms anytime, day or night, 24 hours a day. I'm here, and I will continue to be your voice, the voice of hope, to change the narrative so that you will never have to go through and suffer at the hands of domestic violence, because you are queens and you deserve better. So that's me.
Well,
thank you, Daniel. I love you. Thank you.
yeah. Well, once again, we got a little short time, but I just want to say this right quick. I want to thank everybody who's been listening and tuning in to this session, to this episode of Real 360. Thank you again for the comments. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for caring. You know, we're not just about the music. We are about community. We are about reaching out. We are about alerting everyone that we can to everything that's going on. And if you have something going on and you want your voice to be heard, come on here. Reach out to Real 360. We will hear. We want to put your story out there in motion. You can reach REAL, the number 2, REEL 360 at gmail.com. Once again, that's Real to Real 360 at gmail.com. All right. Miss Sheila, I know our time is short, but listen, I want you to hang on for about 2 minutes after the show. So don't go nowhere when I end the show. All right.
Gotcha.
Everybody, we love you. Appreciate you. Thank you once again for sharing and coming on. And on behalf of my brother who's working hard doing this thing, Joshua Allah, aka Mr. PhD, we appreciate you all and we say peace to you all. We out of here like last year. Peace.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we starting to come to the end of the show. Right now, I want to take the time out and thank our guests for coming on. Also, too, we want to make sure that y'all listening and subscribing, and tell a friend and keep sharing, because we're going to keep bringing y'all the real content. You know what I mean? So, DJ K-Wise, my brother, take us up out of here, son. Peace.
I want to give a big shout out to the nation of gods and earths, to all the human families on the planet Earth. I say peace. But to our subscribers, those who continue to watch and listen to the show each and every time we come on, I give a big shout out of love, peace, and happiness to you. The peace of man, woman, and child of the you and I verse. It's time for us to disperse. We bring the best, not the worst. We thank you once again for tuning in to the Real 360. Bring a friend to hit that like and subscribe, so we continue to grow to bring more knowledge and wisdom to you upon our show. You make it possible for us